Welcome to episode 1 of Your 50-Pound Takedown. My name is Dr. Richard Lowe. I'm a dentist. I've had a massive transformation, and I'm sharing this with you today because this works, and you're going to be able to apply this. And over the last 5 months, I know this works because I've worked with and honestly kind of tricked about 30 dentists, and I'll explain what that means later, into doing two things. Number one, transforming their lives, changing their lives, and losing over 450 pounds as a group, which is pretty insane. And it's all by playing a simple, powerful game. I'm going to show you how. Anyone can do this, whether you're a dentist or not. And what this is not, because if you're like me, you've tried tons of things. Oftentimes, I'm a nutritional science major. I love the literature. I love reading nutrition books. There are thousands of free workout, YouTube videos, podcasts, guides, blogs showing you how to get strong, how to lose weight, how to run a marathon. There's so many things out there. And honestly, the funny thing is that most of them work. They're not all great, but most of them, if you follow them, will 100% work. This is not a specific exercise, a diet, a shot that you have to take every week, a pill, supplements, mindset, none of those. And honestly, this is not even something you can get from working one-on-one with a personal trainer. And I'll show you why this is different. But you don't need more information. If you're a dentist, if you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're someone who's had to go through a lot of schooling where you had to absorb and analyze and be tested on tons of information. If this was true, why are you not in the best shape of your life right now? Because that was me. I've been in awful shape most of my adult life. You don't need more information. This is akin to giving a dental patient who needs a crown, here's a handpiece, here's a burr, here's the instructions, how to prep a crown, how to get rid of the decay, fill it in, mill a crown on a machine, seat it, here's the bonding cement, and here's the instructions. You got the information, go for it. The reality is there are parts of a transformation of this process that you just can't do yourself. You need help from someone else, or more often actually more than one other person. I'm going to show you this today. And I'm going to give you the playbook. There was a lot of resistance in me, a lot of hesitation to just laying it all out and giving you the best stuff when I first recorded this series a few months ago. But I realized I've had so much good information in the past that I, wished I could have done something with it, but I didn't. And I know that if I give you all this information, there's a really good chance 90%, 95% of the people watching this won't change a thing in their life. I would love it if you prove me wrong. I would love it if, like, in this moment, you're like, no, screw you. If this works, if you've got proof, I'm going to implement this, whether you're a dentist or not, whether you're working with me or not. This playbook works, and it is different than anything I had seen, different than anything you've seen. And you don't have to believe me. There might be kind of the BS meter going off for you here of like, okay, what can this be? You're promising the moon. I don't believe you. Here is Dr. Parent. This is one of many examples. He joined the program around the start of the year. It's 2025. He's lost 28 pounds since he started. We're in April right now. He's loving his results. He's got amazing genetics. I wish I had his genetics. He looks incredible. But what's interesting is that he says down here, he's not just excited about the physical change, but the overall habits we're forming. So I'm going to walk you through that because this is a comprehensive program, and it was actually surprising to me what this has done. I didn't expect, when I set on this journey for myself, I didn't expect to find answers to something that both I and hundreds and thousands of other dentists suffer from. I'd say more than half of dentists really struggle with some of these things. And the chief one being burnout. I was burnt out. I was burnt out as a dentist, as an entrepreneur, as a parent, as a spouse. And this is really common. It's really common to get through dental school into a career. You think, I will be happy when, I will be happy when. And you get to the end of it and you're not happy. Your problems still exist. You feel isolated. Being a clinician, a practice owner is fairly isolating. Even though you're surrounded by people all day, patients who say, I hate the dentist, is the first thing out of their mouth. Team members, you can't really vent to your team members because they're like 40% of your stressors. They're amazing, great people, but they can also be a massive source of stress and anxiety as a dentist. And just anxiety. You know, I've experienced a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, and I've talked with dentists who they get those Sunday scaries. Sunday night, their stomach, they realize tomorrow's Monday, I gotta go back into the office. I'm not excited about this. And they're losing sleep over their practice, over their patients, because they care. They want to do a really good job. The standard is really high. There's people all around them who are successful, who look more successful on Instagram and online. And all of this contributes to that. This is super common. I've talked to hundreds of dentists at this point, and these things come up all the time. For me, this manifested, burnout turns into a whole bunch of things, but it led to neglected health. My health as an adult has not been great. Despite being a nutritional science major, I used to tell people, really what that means is I know the damage I'm doing to my body when I eat like crap and don't do the things I need to do. In dentistry, there's a lot of physical wear and tear on our bodies as we bend over sideways and turn our heads. Ergonomics aren't always perfect. Our setups aren't always perfect. It just physically is really hard. And when you start to, your health gets worse overall, you feel kind of weak, you're not stabilized, you've got more weight when you're bending over, it compounds. And you really start to have to push through pain and disability, which is terrifying. You either admit that you're broken and you have to stop working, but then all along the way, you're afraid. Is this gonna get worse? Am I gonna hurt myself to the point where I can no longer provide for my family? I can no longer pay my bills. I let myself go. I didn't look or feel like what I wanted to, which isn't the most important thing in the world, but it impacts everything else. And then lastly, this led to a drift, for me and for a lot of other dentists, drifting marriage. I felt trapped, I was lacking purpose, and I resulted to addictions and really unhealthy behaviors to cope with the stress. And I didn't expect to find the answers to all of these things in a physical transformation. And I'll show you here, some of the proof. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. For instance, Dr. Chupp, he texted me, he was like, man, thanks for doing this group. I know I was on the fence, but I am super happy I went with it. And he also later told me that his back pain, he says, my back pain is 1/5 of what it was when I started this program. Really common for us to come in hurting and broken. That wasn't the goal of this program, but that absolutely happened for him. Dr. Monte, thanks again. Amazing group. Not physically, but more mentally for me now, once again. Dr. Richards, I haven't been at this much peace in a long time, despite the same chaos that's still around me. Today's gonna be a good day. And then lastly, Dr. Miles, I absolutely love this. I have made more strides in my level of happiness in the last 2 weeks, and this is like 2 weeks into the program in November, than in the last 2 years. What you are doing has helped my wife and I to experience a level of happiness that we haven't had in probably 5 years. This is one of the best decisions I've made in the last half a decade. This is crazy to me, to create something and to go on this journey with these dentists, and I'm gonna share that with you. I'm gonna share what the program is, how it works, how you can have similar results, and then if you want to, how to work with us. But the thing I'll tell you is this is like a patient who walks in, they've got a treatable crack. They've got danger signs. This is gonna break, this is gonna be a root canal, it's not gonna be savable. The patient's like, nah, it's gonna be fine. We see cracks in ourselves all the time. This whole list right here, and we neglect it. We say, nah, it's gonna be fine. It's not that bad. I can keep going. And I think you'd agree with that patient. You've seen the before and after. You've seen that tooth break. This happened to me and my mom in dental school. I was like, this crack's probably fine. And then it broke and it was almost unrestorable. We break in ways that oftentimes you can't go back on. Your family, as a practice owner, mental health, breakdowns. I'm gonna share my version of that. So I think you would agree that treating a treatable cracked tooth is worth doing before it's too late. And the same thing with your health, the same thing with your mental health, with your stress, your anxiety, purpose, all of that. So let me tell you my story real quick. I won't spend too long, but this is me in 2023, skinny fat Richard. This is me my whole life. I was pretty much a soft nerd. That's who my wife married. She wasn't expecting a Division I athlete. But I got worse over time. And dentistry was really one of the biggest things that was killing me. Practice ownership. I told my wife, I feel like I've forgotten how to be happy. I should have known that was depression, but I didn't realize. And she didn't know how to take that. It's like, after all I've sacrificed for you to get through dental school, open a practice, run a practice, pursue these dreams, and you're still not happy, how am I supposed to take that? Over time, I didn't recognize or trust myself. I didn't respect myself. I felt like a non-functional adult. I was running a large team of multiple doctors and multiple offices, and I was falling short. I felt like, as a husband, as a father, as a Christian, as a business owner, and my wife told me to my face, I'm worried that you're letting your partners down, and that they're disappointed in you. I'm embarrassed. So, trapped, anxious, financially stressed, this was me, but I was like holding it all together. Everything looked really good on the surface. I coped with social media, with gaming, addictions in the most unhealthy ways, and things kept getting worse and worse and worse. But I was able to turn it all around. In October 2023, I had started this journey with a group, and I'll tell you that journey here in a second. And a year later, I had lost 60 pounds. I had put on tens of pounds of muscle. My marriage, my family were better than ever. I found my tribe. I found purpose. And for me, the most amazing part is my failures, my mistakes, my weaknesses are now helping other dentists rather than being the thing I'm most ashamed of. And hopefully they'll help you as well. So what changed? So to start real quick, background, graduated in 2015, Midwestern, was in the Army, did the 2-year AEGD. 2016, I started a podcast in my closet while in the Army about practice ownership. I wanted to learn for myself how to open, run, buy a dental practice, how to scale it and be successful. Didn't know what I was doing, but I figured I'd interview people who did. And that took off. The podcast blew up. It became the #1 rated dental podcast in the industry. You can see here we've had over 500 5-star reviews and over 3 million downloads. This led to live events, which is like amazing people that we got to get together with and got to learn together. We started coaching on acquisitions, helping people grow their practice from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 doctors, going from 800,000 to 3 million plus. Even started a law firm. Pretty crazy stuff that I didn't expect to come out of a podcast from my closet. And in this time, I had bought 5 offices. So while I was in the Army, I bought 3. Actually, all 5 of those I bought while I was in the Army. I don't recommend that. The Army doesn't like that. And I merged with my other partners, and we created a dental group. And that group was a denture and implant office. And within 2 years, we had 35 offices. And I was the CEO. Completely unqualified, not a great CEO. I knew that. And I was very ashamed of that fact. And in the darkness, this is me kind of peak, looks happy on the outside, absolutely dying on the inside. And I went to a dental conference. There's an organization called DEEO, and they had a summit in San Diego in 2023. And Ben Winters, the dentist, was there. I got to meet him. And EMTT Scott, right here, he was running the event. He's now the CEO of DEO. And he invited Kyle Carnahan from Superhuman Fathers to come be a sponsor, come be at the event. And he had joined Superhuman Fathers. He had been through this men's group. And he got up on stage and did something pretty vulnerable that was amazing to me. He shared his transformation. So I think EMTT, forgive me EMTT, I think he was in his mid to late 40s. And he went from the worst shape of his life to the best shape of his life. And he had a 6-pack. And he talked about he was a better father, a better husband. Spiritually, this had benefited him. He was able to keep up with his kids, his confidence professionally. All these things had resulted from this physical change. And I had a chip on my shoulder. I've never been strong. I've never been in control. I'd failed the PT test in the Army, which was incredibly embarrassing. And I wanted to know what this was like. I've never felt this. And I was in such a dark place that I just paid for it. I was like, I don't know what this program is. I don't know what it entails. I don't know what's required. just absolutely nothing, and I paid for a year in this program. And it turns out what it was an accountability brotherhood called Superhuman Fathers. And I got to know and transform. These are some of my good friends here who, right here, right off the bat, we've got a single dad who had I think his son was like 3 or 4 at the time. Milai was a caterer. He worked super long hours. And I remember he just was laser consistent. Every single day, he'd wake up. You don't have to wake up super early, but he'd wake up at 3 a.m. because in order to take care of his son, do his work, get his personal work in, he had to wake up early. That was the sacrifice he had to make. Not necessarily what you have to do. That's what Milai did. Super inspiring for me. Jean Marco, great friend of mine. We shared a hotel room. He was there for me. I was struggling in my marriage, and he reached out. And he was like, hey, I've been through a lot with my wife. Here's some of the things we've been through. We had a conversation while I was waiting to pick up my daughter from elementary school. Out of the blue, he reached out because he knew I was struggling. My friend Kevin here, Kevin and I, we had to overcome our demons. We overcame those together. We supported each other through that journey and held each other accountable. Good friend of mine. And then this is Tony. Tony, he joined, and his year in Superhuman Fathers, he went from a pretty angry dad, and he looked like a biker to me, to really finding a relationship with God, caring and being patient with people around him, losing the weight, putting the muscle on, the strength. 2 things happened. His daughter died, his adult daughter died in that year. And she got to know a version of her dad that she'd never known her entire life. And then, right around the time that this picture was taken, he kind of had his full transformation. Tony actually passed away pretty young. And his example impacted me. It impacted so many other men because of who he became, who he left behind. Not just the weight, not just the strength. And for me, this group of men absolutely changed me. And I had my transformation. Well, some people noticed, my friend Hunter in particular, he's an endodontist out of Florida, best friend from dental school. We pulled all-nighters studying for everything in dental school. And he's like, Richard, what are you doing? What is this program? And he joined. He gets in the program and he's like, what is this program and who are these people? And I had to convince him to stay because he was like, this is crazy. He stays in 3-4 months, has absolute transformation, works through some of the absolute hardest things that he's had to deal with in his professional career. Amazing transformation. And he comes to me and he says, Richard, you need to start this for dentistry. You can do this better in terms of serving a professional crowd rather than a blue-collar crowd. This play works, this game works, this system works. Let's do it. Let's do it, but do it for dentists. So that's where Next Level Fathers came from. So that's the name of my group right now, Next Level Fathers. You don't have to be a father to join it. Right now we are sticking to dentists or dental business owners in the dental field. Female dentists who are interested, reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll be forming a cohort here in the future, so I'm interested to know what you want from this playbook. Here's the playbook that we created, and the results of it from November to March of this year lost that collective 450 pounds that I talked about a little earlier. That's not including, for a lot of the guys, we have DEXA scans of the before and afters. A lot of the guys in the group have gained 5 to 10 pounds of muscle, and so that 450 pounds is actually probably closer to 500 pounds. A lot of these guys actually have had massive changes in their practice, turned their practice around. They've had the courage to drop insurances. That's not what this group is about, but our brotherhood, our mastermind, has allowed them to have the fortitude to make these big changes. They've confronted partners who are not pulling their weight and had real kind of impact financially in their life. They've also, some of the guys were doing the GLP-1 shots every single week, stabbing themselves in the stomach to lose weight, which over time had stopped working for them, and then you're trapped. I have to keep stabbing myself or I'm going to gain the weight again. And they've gotten off of GLP-1s. and lost even more weight and had more of a transformation. They've gotten rid of personal trainers, nutritionists, life coach. We've bundled all that together. And we've created time. We've saved them time by allowing them to focus on three things: health, family, purpose, spirituality, all at once, and unified that. And these men have worked on addictions. They've worked on neglected mental health. For a lot of dentists, you end up with physical and mental things you don't get treated because you're worried about malpractice insurance. You use your insurance to pay for any of this, and now, that's an exception on your, not malpractice, on your disability insurance. So a lot of times we kind of just stuff that in, neglect it. And a lot of them now feel connected to God. They're leading their families spiritually. The people around them are inspired. Their spouse, their friends, their dental practice, they notice and they see they're inspiring others around them. And it just feels awesome to go from extra large scrubs to medium scrubs. And I had to take 9 bags of clothes to Goodwill. All right, so I've talked about the results. How does this actually work? We're going to get into it. The first part of the day 1 playbook: find your tribe. And we've got how to harness this tribal micro accountability. Why does this matter? Dentistry sucks when you're alone. A lot of things in life, hard things, suck when you're alone. But if you think back to, when did you develop the best friendships of your adult life? For me, and this might be the case for you, these were times like undergrad, maybe a sports team, maybe dental school or residency. I was in the Army for 6 years, military, maybe even a church setting, a youth group, service, that you did together. You did these things together. Hard things alone is misery. Doing hard things together creates powerful tribes, because you go through something that you understand between you guys that other people can't understand. The highs and the lows, the pain. And that's where this tribal micro accountability comes from. I'm going to go to some examples of what people have said here in the program. The value of a group like this is that you have each other to hold you accountable. That's the real value. Sure, you could be doing these things on your own. Having a group of guys that are like-minded, want to help, and support you through this program is invaluable. That's the secret to this group. So this is Dr. Dunford. He lost 20 pounds here, but actually lost over 20 pounds. We've got the DEXA scan. He sent me the little PDF here, and put on 5 pounds of muscle. Never had strength like this, never had a six-pack, never had this sort of progress in his life. So that's what he was saying over here. And then my buddy Hunter Bennett, this programming has literally changed my life in every way. He was talking to a new guy who just joined. He says, "My advice is to go all in. You will transform if you run the play no matter what, and will steal all the excuses that come up." And they will. The brotherhood is a real deal. So stealing excuses, what does that mean? The reality is we all have reasons why we can't do stuff. Why I can't wake up early. I've got young kids. They're up in the night. I've got a commute. I can't go to the gym. I don't have time to cook healthy food. I don't have time to make these positive changes, prioritize my family as much as I want to. The practice is just too busy. Well, guess what? Every excuse you have, there's another person in this group who has the same or worse circumstances and is doing it anyways. You've got 2 kids. This person has 5 kids, and they're still waking up early and hitting it. You've got a commute. They've got a 40-minute commute, an hour-long commute. You've got a stressful practice. This dentist has 5 stressful practices. So the people in this group, by being exactly matched, we can't say, I'm a special unicorn. I'm different. And I have these magical excuses. I'm a dentist and a practice owner. So yeah, you've got your stressors. Mine are worse. The load on my shoulders is worse. No, we're all doing the same thing. And that's the power of this tribe. There's some people who don't need a tribe to transform. That's fine. If you've got this crazy, sustained solo discipline, you're really just a lone wolf type, you don't want to open up, and you're resistant to being pushed and inspired, because a lot of the guys in the group, they're not broken, they don't need crazy transformations, but they just want to be held accountable and inspired. They're already successful, they want to go to the next level. You just might need some nutrition and programming. I can do that for you too, but you're not going to get the same results as the full group. So If you're this person who just like wants to do this on their own, talk to me. But for me, this is way more fun. The tribal accountability is also micro accountability. What does that mean? I care much more about inputs than outputs. And I tell people when they join the group, I remember a guy was like, I want to lose X amount of pounds by Christmas this next year. You know, he has like an 11-month goal. I don't care what your goals are and what your timeline is, especially not at first in the program. The reason is if you focus on some end goal, you're going to get there in pretty weird ways. It's not going to be consistent. You might be sprinting at the end to kind of make it and get under the wire and make that goal. If you focus on the daily inputs, your results are literally inevitable. And you honestly don't know how far you can go. Like your goals might be right here. And I'm like, listen, just focus on the inputs and we'll get past that. We'll get way past that. And if you don't have the right daily inputs, you're not doing this the right way, you can hurt yourself. You try and lose weight too fast, you actually lose a bunch of muscle. A lot of people on those diet shots on the GLP-1s, I've seen this firsthand with people in my family, they lose muscle, they lose hair. They then are dependent on this shot. So you don't know how far you can go, and that's what we're going to push you on. Next step. So find your tribe, tribal micro accountability. Next step, make it a game. Next step, make it a game. The next step here is to make it a game. The next level daily game is the game that we do, but honestly, you can make whatever game you want. Inherently, we want to win, especially as dentists, sometimes we're competitive. You want to pick a winnable daily game, not something unreasonable. That's why I hate things like 75 hard that are a short-term sprint that are truly unsustainable long-term. And it can be really simple. My buddy Nate lost 50 pounds with just no soda. My uncle did the same thing with no sugar. They have like one part of the game, maybe add a few other things, but they got great results by having, here's a simple thing I'm going to do every single day. And our next level daily game is focused on these inputs, 4 points every single day, the inputs that matter most. So not just the body, workout, nutrition, scripture study. The spiritual side of things matters for us, for me. We've got journaling, self-reflection, and then serving, appreciating, or connecting with someone. 4 parts to this daily game. And we even have a stupid little reporting system. If you got 4 points, you were a beast yesterday, or you were rising, or you were dark. And then you declare what you're going to do today. It takes less than a minute to report each day. But this game defines structure. It can be any game, but we've chosen to play this game together. And it forces us to push harder and to be consistent and hold each other accountable. Graham here, he's been a guy who's been laser consistent. He's lost over 40 pounds. He's lost 43 pounds in 24 weeks. And you can just see this insane, consistent progress, just straight down. Shows up every day, runs the play. But I love this. It goes back to like what this is all about. I can't remember who said it on the call. It's been a few years since they'd been to church. It's been almost 20 years for me. I was never a regular after high school and my parents were making me go to church. It's nice being able to talk to God again. So we're having these victories that go along with the physical victories, and we've tied it all together into a daily game. Now, why does that matter? We're going to talk about that in this last part of the playbook. You need to harvest deep meaning. Harness deep meaning. And specifically, we use the next man effect, but this can be whatever you want. Why you change matters. I'll tell you, motivation fades. You get sick, you travel, you hit a bunch of stress, and it derails us. In the past, I only trusted myself for 2 weeks. Like literally any change initiative, in my mind, I was like, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm probably not going to be doing this anymore. And that's about how far I trusted myself. And unfortunately, 9 months later, we're exactly where we started. So I just saw a Tony Robbins clip, and he asked the question, what controls the quality of your life? He says, is it money? And you'll agree with me here. Do you know anyone who is super rich and miserable? Yes. How about relationships? Do you know anyone who is truly loved by other people? A spouse, a family member, a parent who's also miserable? The answer is yes. So what controls the quality of your life? And if you get nothing else out of this video, this is power. Meaning and emotion. The meaning that we ascribe to what happens in our world creates the emotion we feel. So in this part of the program, we harness that meaning. We use it as fuel in this program, and it evolves over time. The meaning that you start with might not be the meaning that keeps you going in 2 or 3 or 6 months. But if you show up angry, that's going to create different emotion in your life. You're going to make different decisions. And that comes from the meaning that you give to what you're doing. So what are some examples of this? You might come with some really simple meaning that drive change. There was someone who the other day I was talking with, his name is Spencer, and he's like, Richard, to be honest, I just want to look good naked in front of my wife. Like, that is such a driver for me. That's why I want to lose weight. That's why I want to have a six-pack. I want to be in the best shape of my life because I love my spouse and I want them to be really attracted to me. It feels really good. And I'm not going to lie, having a transformation, having a glow up when your marriage is on the rocks has been a really good thing. I look and feel like a different person, and my wife agrees. Like, I am a different person than I was a year and a half ago, which, you know, this guy was kind of a jerk. This guy was really selfish and letting himself down and letting her down. Now, you know, there's a time where I caught her staring at me in the shower, and she says, "Who are you? Like, you are a different man than the man I married." And that's awesome. Every time you're together for a year or more, if you're the best looking version of yourself every week, every month compared to before, it does good things for your marriage. Not the most important thing in the world, but that can be the meaning. There was a dentist on my call today who, he said, for me, I have 4 daughters. I want to be the example of who they can grow up to be, or who they can grow up to marry, and the standard for what a good man looks like. You also want to be the guy that when the boyfriend shows up to pick him up, they're intimidated. They're like, oh crap, like there is a standard to live up to, and I better not mess with this guy's daughter. There's danger in the world, online, in person, you travel, you're on the wrong alleyway, you're out too late, you're with your daughters, you're with your kids. They want to feel safe and protected. And sure, you're not going to get in like fist fights in the street, but you want them to feel, my dad is strong, I'm safe. You want them to feel strong. You want to set the example for them. This also translates directly into your confidence as a healthcare professional in your practice, leading your team. You walk into the operatory, how much confidence do you have in your treatment plan, talking to patients? A good friend of mine went to a chiropractor who was giving them all this health advice about diet and losing weight, and it was very obvious, you can't judge, who knows what's going on in this person's life. They were very unhealthy. So it's like, I'm not going to take your advice. Like, I just don't really trust what you're saying because you're not living it, you're not walking it. But there is a direct impact to how you lead, the energy you have, how you handle stress and breakdowns. Do you melt? Do you scream? Do you yell at people? Or do you have the strength to hold on to yourself? For some people, this, you know, they're not married yet, or they don't have a partner, so they're finding a partner. Or some even worse meaning is despite an ex-husband, an ex-wife. That can be the driver and the motivation someone starts with. One of my friends, his 5-year-old, was like, "Dad, you're so squishy. Why are you so squishy?" And like, no one wants to hear that from their kid. And instead it wants to be, "Dad, how are you so strong?" Like, your kids, my dad can beat up your dad. No one really cares, but you want your kids to be proud of you. You want them drawing a six-pack when they're drawing a picture of you because they're like, my dad's strong, and it's pretty cool. For me, I would go to leadership retreats with my partners. I'd be nervous, stupidly, getting in the hot tub. I was the most out of shape out of all the guys. And so I didn't want to like hang out at night for 2 hours in the hot tub. Like, I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. It's so small, But same thing at the pool with my kids. I would keep my shirt on for a while. I wouldn't be as anxious to jump in the pool. I just like thought about stuff like that more than I should have. And lastly, protect the machine. I think you'd agree that in your dental practice, if there was a machine that was printing money all day long, and you just let that run without maintaining it, without checking on it, without lubricating and replacing parts that needed replacing, eventually it breaks. And I think you'd want to agree that it's worth investing in that machine, taking care of that machine. You are that machine. You are the producer in your office, and it is worth protecting your health, your back, your life, and your sustainability. So all these things might be some of the beginning, simple meaning that are going to drive change for you. Sometimes there's deeper meaning. Sometimes there's a wake-up call. You have a back injury. You realize like, oh crap, I need to really focus on my health to be able to provide. Or one of the guys in our group, his doctor told him, guys with elevated liver enzymes in their 40s, like you, are often in liver failure in their 60s. You need to lose 75 pounds immediately. That's what he was told. He's like, okay, I need to make some changes. A friend dying at 55, like my friend Tony, you realize we don't know how long we have. And there's not always a tomorrow to, okay, I'll get in shape, I'll take care of my health when. And we don't want to put ourselves at risk of shortening our time. Or a mom who's too self-conscious to be in photos with her kids. And she's worried that if I was ever to not be here, they would have no proof that I was there and that I loved her when they were older. For me, hitting rock bottom, realizing something had to change, was a massive motivator. And maybe for you, the fact that you were given this gift of a body from God and you want to stay healthy so you can do more good in the world. That might be your motivation, which is awesome. We help you create this meaning because all of these things will shift over time. And you cared a lot about what your wife thought about at first when you took her shirt off. And now maybe she doesn't care as much anymore. And you're like, okay, how important is this? I look good enough. How do I sustain change? How do I continue to find new motivation? We've got a powerful system for that drives continuous change. First is this is the next man effect. You never know whose life you're going to change through your example. Your children, you are modeling health for them. You're giving them generational progress rather than generational trauma. If you work on your broken mindsets, the things that you've struggled with, and you model that, emotional stability and health, that is a gift that you can help them with. You're still going to screw them up somewhat. They're still going to have some trauma. They're still going to have to get therapy, but you can model so many good things. And we've got guys in this group who now their boys are going with them to the gym. Their 2-year-old daughter wants to work out with them in their home gym. This becomes a family thing. Your spouse, how can I strengthen my ability to hold on to myself? So what do I mean by hold on to myself? Oftentimes we don't want to hear the truth from our spouse because it's invalidating. It hurts. It's very vulnerable. And we need to have the emotional security, the strength, the confidence in ourselves to be vulnerable in front of our spouse. We just like brush issues under the rug for years. We don't address them because it's just not worth bringing up. If you can hold on to yourself and be strong and have the confidence in all these areas, you can then fully show up. In your dental practice, people notice. Your family members, your church community, people around you are going to see that you care and that you're showing up for yourself. It's going to inspire them, the next man effect. And then I mentioned this earlier. What if my biggest mistakes and weaknesses are exactly what gives me power to help someone else? I had the hardest time forgiving myself for the mistakes I've made, for my weaknesses, for the things I'm bad at. And I've now realized that if I wasn't broken in these ways, I couldn't help other people who were broken in similar ways. And so it's been empowering for me to be able to forgive myself, but also use these kind of parts that I hated so much about myself as gifts to other people. And I tell people when they join this program, your abs will change and may even save another man's life. We have dentists who, we've talked about dark thoughts, about self-harm. It's a real thing. And being here for each other, your transformation is going to inspire someone else to join, to change, to step up. And then every day, the way that you show up and hold yourself accountable, support each other, saves other men from themselves. Men often implode destroy their life. And if you can help someone wake up spiritually, overcome their demons, we are the biggest threat to our family. No one can do more damage to a family than a father can to his family by going dark, by abandoning, by letting addictions and stress blow everything up. And so your struggles in this group can even change another man's marriage. All of this together is the next man effect. So that's how we apply this in Next Level Fathers. And so we remind each other of all these things, of all the meaning that we create. And so you can see directly here the next man effect in play. We've got EMTT Scott, who shared his transformation, his vulnerability at that meeting, which led to me and my transformation, saving me from pretty much the worst place of my life, to influencing my friend Hunter to join, and then him challenging me, saying, we need to build this for dentistry. And the 450 pounds, the lives that are changed every single day through this program in our group. This has been an incredible journey, and I'd love for you to be part of it. So if you are a dentist and you want to be part of this group who's running the play every day, this tribe, the tribal micro accountability, it works. This game works to focus on the most important things in your life. The next level dentist, in my opinion, is not another dental practice. It's not another CE course. It's focusing your time and energy on all the stuff that actually matters to you. So that next level daily game is going to get you there. And then we'll help you create the meaning and the emotion, the quality of life that you truly want. And that will evolve and will evolve with you. So if you want this, you want a 50-pound transformation, you want a community, you want a mastermind of dentists, what do you want to do next? If you're in, book below a clarity call, 20 to 30 minutes. I'll go over your goals if you're a good fit for this program. It's not for everyone. I don't let everyone in. I've only got 5 spots a month to be able to take care of people appropriately. And you can DM me on Facebook or Instagram if you want to know the waitlist status information. But absolutely, I'd love to talk. Or if you're just like really in a dark place and you need someone to talk to. I've talked to so many dentists who just feel trapped and don't know what to do and don't know who to talk to because they're embarrassed. And we also, with that as well, say that you're not interested in this program, but you're suffering from dental burnout. I just started a Facebook group, Overcoming Dental Burnout, in the best ways possible. Link below. If you just want more information, follow this channel, follow my Instagram account, or if you want to watch the next episode of this 50-pound takedown, we're going to go over the nutritional science behind the transformations that I do as a nutritional scientist, applied with formulas and exactly how to do this yourself. So stick around and watch that next video. But this is your time. This is your 50-pound takedown. Here is the play. It's time for you to run it.